You said so many things that were really good. The first thing that you said, and I want to reflect back to you, is the beauty in the honesty. So there's truth that we have in Christianity and the biblical revelation of who God is. We have access to an important, eternal truth. But if we say, or even come across, if the spirit of our conversations is, I'm right, let me fix you. Mm-hmm. No one wants to be somebody else's project. But that's often how we will come across, like, let me tell you the gospel so you can get fixed.
Yeah.
I think it's much more powerful, and I think this is what you're saying about the beauty. It's much more powerful if we can say, I'm broken. Let me tell you how I got fixed and am continuing to get fixed every day. Healed. Mm-hmm. Fixed might be a bad word, but healed. And that is a conversation starter. And let me fix you or let the Bible fix you, or let me tell you how the Bible's going to solve your problems. Is a conversation stopper, because the implication is you think that something's wrong with me.
Right.
Which there is.
Right. Right.
But there's something wrong with me too.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the disarming of vulnerability and transparency and honesty and humility. And I think that's what you meant by the beauty.
Yeah.
Then there was something else you said towards the end that I was like, oh, I want to talk about. I should have written it down. Shoot.
I don't know.
I know what it was. So you said about Westboro Baptist, which, if anybody doesn't know what Westboro Baptist is, it's the people who carry signs and yell at people on behalf of God. On behalf of God, I'm air quoting. Obviously, that's a super problematic witness to the gospel, but there's a spectrum of problematic witnesses. And what you just said was Westboro Baptist Church is bad, but my church is good. And that is really another element of humanity that is pervasive and problematic, which is tribalism. So we want to feel like the place where we exist and the spaces where we exist are the ones that are good and right. That's pervasive.
Yeah.
And it is pervasive. I mean, right now it's acute. We are tribal. Tribalism has been inextricably linked with identity. So I might identify as some political position. I might identify as some sexual orientation or gender or a faith or a person like, oh, I work for Habitat for Humanity every weekend. Like, that's a tribe.
Yeah.
Right? We are a people who are built for community. See our Old Testament study for the whole developing of that. We are built for fellowship and community. And we seek it wherever we can find it. And so I know that what I'm saying has to resound in a million ways with a million different directions you could take tribalism.
Yeah.
But we become tribal. We talked about this a little while ago, even in our own churches. And so when we are tribal in any way, we are defining ourselves as in or out of a group. And then we're defining others as in or out of a group. And if you draw that line, people feel it. What does this resound with what you're saying?
Yeah.
What are some ways that you've seen tribalism interfere with delivery of the gospel?
Well, one, I just did a blog about it.
Oh, great.
So, last week, the blog was released about same.
Yeah, but this will air.
Similar idea. Right. You're absolutely right.
There is a blog.
Right. There is a blog.
What's it called?
It is called
Where Do I Belong?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's called Where Do I Belong? Forgot. Yes, tribal. it's so pervasive and it's so damaging. And yes, it's so comforting, right? Because we all want to belong to a community. And yet that belonging to a community immediately then in our sinful nature, brokenness, ostracizes another community. And Jesus says, and this is what's so beautiful about our faith, is Jesus says, nope, you are one, right? You are one under me, you're one. And it's a difficult thing to manage because we find differences in other people. And so it's hard for us to connect in a community with those other people that have different tribal
Why is that
things
hard,
in
do you
there.
think? Let me back it up. Why do you think we are wired or have extreme propensity for a community? Why do you think people want to feel like they are a part of a community? What's the fundamental need that's getting filled there?
The desire to not be alone.
Yeah. Another way I would say that is safety.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course I notice it more in this generation. They're more and more alone and their tribe is social media, which is scary, but
Or they're just looking
yeah.
for a tribe. I mean, okay, I'm not going to get
I look
into
for a tribe because I feel like I don't belong in the tribe that I'm in. And so if I feel like I'm judged or someone doesn't like me, then I want to belong.
find the place where
I got to find the place where they do, right? And I consider myself in a bunch of different communities because I am athletic, but I'm not, so just one of my tribes. I'm athletic, but I'm not,
sporty.
I'm not sporty. So people look at me and they think I'm sporty. I am not sporty. I can't play a sport. I can't hit a ball, but I can do 100 push-ups. So I don't fit properly in that tribe. So sometimes I feel like I'm out of the tribe. But funny enough, a guy said to me in my spin class yesterday, I was joking. A friend invited me to his football game and I said, I can't wait to not come to your house and watch that game because I'm just not going to watch football. And this one guy in the back said, oh my God, he had met me not that long ago. He said, oh my gosh, you were up here and now you're down here. And he was joking, of course, but I thought, I need to watch sports.
I've been ejected from my tribe.
Right. Right. Because I don't watch sports, which has been a joke forever, but now it was like used to, it just hurt.
Yeah.
And again, I know he was joking, but it still hurts. So we want to belong.
Because there's a standard. There's a stamp
Yep.
for this tribe.
Yeah.
And everybody has to fit.
Right. And so even as believers, we all try and fit into, and I'm sorry I use that word. I know it's a very Christian word, but even as Christians, we try and fit into a certain tribe. And I've made it sort of a mission, not necessarily a mission. It's kind of just floated to the surface that I relate with other tribes now in my Christianity, that I don't want to hold myself just to an evangelical free biblical community because there's passion in a Catholic community. There's passion in a Presbyterian community. We are different uniquely in some of the ways that we view certain verses, let's just say, but we all love Jesus.
Yes.
And how can I not look at what my other tribe friend is doing and say they're doing it because they love Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's my tribalism.
And if we have to stretch ourselves to overcome the gaps between denominations, how much more do we have to stretch ourselves to overcome the gaps between believers and non-believers? Yeah. But we are called to do that.
We are.
To Judea and Samaria and the ends of the earth. That's what we're called to do. Be my witness to Judea and Samaria and all the ends, all the nations. Man, you're just talking about being a witness to each other inside the church. I could tell you that even inside individual churches, there's often disunity.
Right. Yep.
How can we prayerfully and radically build bridges instead of walls?
Right. And that's what that is what we're called to do. I mean, the how is really big. I think prayer is huge. And again, looking at the sin inside of ourselves. Have we become a tribal community? And have you have you turned away from someone else because you believe that your tribe is right and there's no room
Yeah. And
for
I
anything
guess,
else?
I guess it's fear in us too,
Yeah.
because if I entertain your ideas, I'm afraid they will disrupt my ideas.
That's true too.
And then if they disrupt my ideas, am I ejected from my tribe? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really simple way. And we just have to be braver than that.
Because Jesus says to do it. So it's not even that he calls us to do it in the New Testament, but if you read in the book of Acts, he actually has them doing it, right? So he takes Peter at one point and says, Peter, now it's time for you to go outside of your community. That had to be terrifying. Mm-hmm. It had to be so uncomfortable for him.
He was resistant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I can't blame him. It is painful to do so.
Yeah.
That's what we're called to do.
Yeah. But a great example that you're giving is the early disciples were great evangelists because God dragged them out of their comfort zone and they said, where you go, Lord, I will follow. That's hard, but we're called to do it.
Yep.
The last problem is the cost of discipleship. And a lot of people look from the outside and think that, in fact, one of the people in the Man on the Street interview said, Christianity is just rules and regulations. It's just bylaws and restrictions. And that is a perception that, that Christianity, when you become a Christian, life is over, fun is over, enjoyment is over. I don't know. You have to become a monk or something. I don't even know. And we don't effectively communicate that the change in our lives is a response to the gospel, not a preparation for receiving the gospel.
Yeah.
We're not cleaning ourselves up so that we're worthy. Because Christ called us worthy and we know that we're not, we just beg him to keep doing the work of sanctification, is a Bible-y word, of cleaning us up and making us more like him. And that gets lost in translation. And again, I think it gets lost in translation a lot because of the vehicle that communicates it, which is you got to get your life together.
Yeah, you have to do this, you have to do that. I want to share a
Great.
small story.
Yes, I love a small story.
And I don't want to give too many details because it's not my story to tell, but a family member was just saved. And the conversion, I'm actually jealous of because the cost of discipleship, which I sometimes struggle with, it didn't seem to even be an issue for this person. This person went from, in a month, went from not understanding, not knowing anything, not believing, it's a younger person, to wearing a cross necklace at school.
I'm so excited.
And wearing a sweatshirt that says faith on it and openly talking about their faith. And
Wow.
I'm jealous of it.
Why?
Because in my family, it was hard to talk about anything. It was something, not that I kept hidden because I was open about it, but not just expressed so easily. And this person is expressing it so easily. And in a way, I'm jealous of it. And I'm so excited. But
So exciting.
I'm also just jealous of the ease in which they develop their faith.
Because do you think that this generation has that lubricant, so to speak? And I'll develop my idea. Because this generation is so affirming to each other and saying you have the right to be whatever you want to be, when they uncover Christianity, they feel like they have a safe culture to say, this is what I am.
Yeah, it definitely could be. And I think that would be a huge positive in the generation. And I do appreciate that we accept differences a little bit better, or we maybe not accept differences, but we definitely talk about differences more in this generation than we ever did.
I think we accept differences. I think we accept way more than we did in my generation, our generation, way more.
Yeah,
I mean, I talk to my kids all the time about there was stuff that was not okay in our generation. That's completely okay in their
Yeah.
generation. Even as much as tiny a thing as tattoos.
Right.
I still am a little stuck on that. My kids have tattoos. They're both girls, which is, listen, a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like my husband has a tattoo. Somehow that's fine.
Right.
I've had to examine my whole worldview on tattoos because I was raised in like, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's not, this kind of person doesn't do that. It's not true anymore. And so this acceptance of like all the expressions and all the things, maybe there's some
Yeah.
benefit to that. Yeah.
Which is nice.
I'm excited to hear about that because I knew that was brewing. That's great. Okay. So many problems people have, bumps they have to get over. But at the end of the day, the bottom line of Christianity is the resurrection of Christ. Okay. So we did a lot of work coming up to this. Sometimes in a conversation, I will come straight at it. And when people are like, well, why do you think Christianity is the only way? I will say, because I believe that the resurrection of Christ is pivotal in Christianity's foundational structure. And the resurrection was testable and historical and true. So if it's true, then it gives me a scaffolding to hang every other bit of the belief system on. If it's not, then it's not. Then Christianity is defunct. But if it's true and it's testably true, historically testably true, testable, whatever, then it has to affect everything else that's in the Bible.
Yeah.
It has to. So sometimes I'll just go right for that because I think it's important that people understand our faith hinges on the resurrection. Sometimes I don't. But so to build towards that, remember at the beginning of this series, we talked about how the book is shaped in a way and this series is shaped in a way that is actually a model for how to walk most people to the end point, which is the resurrection. And by the way, you can actually have a full multi-year relationship with someone, walking them through these things and getting to the resurrection without ever opening the Bible. That sounds crazy.
Right.
You should open the Bible at home.
Yeah, for sure.
But
right.
in front of them and with them,
Yeah.
maybe not. That, look for the opportunities. Thank God a lot of us have our Bible on our phones. So even if you didn't bring it with you to the coffee shop, you'll have it accessible if the Lord opens a door. Naturalism, being there is no God. We talked about that. And we spent a lot of episodes on that. I'm not going to deal with it. But then getting someone to admit it's possible there is a God. If there is a God, has he revealed himself to us in any meaningful way? Then you may have conversations about relativism, pluralism. Is there a God? If there is a God, has he revealed himself to us? Has he revealed himself to us in absolute truth, in the moral code that our society, that every human has wired into them? Has he revealed himself to us in that way? Has he revealed himself to us in any special way, like scriptures? If so, which ones? So then you've got your pluralism conversation. So I'm doing a recap here. If he's revealed himself to us in the scriptures of Christianity, what are some of the road bumps that we will experience in getting people past, yes, there is a God. Yes, he has revealed himself. Yes, the God of the Christian Bible is the God that is true. And that's when we land on the resurrection. So what do you think about what I just said? Is that a journey that seems plausible?
Yeah, for sure.
Can you think across most of the people in your life and see a place where you could scoop them up on that journey?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any holes?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. We should come back. Maybe what we'll do next is some role playing stuff. Like here's a person and here's how we would apply this.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that with a group. Because I don't want to just assume there are no holes for anybody. And
Sure.
This will be a good conversation for us to really put the rubber to the road. at a certain point, you have to arrive on the resurrection. If we believe the God of the Bible is the true God who revealed himself through his word and through his son, there has to be a basis for that. And that basis is the resurrection. So I really think a useful tool is, it's called the minimal facts argument. I want to go through it because I think it's really helpful, and I love to teach it any opportunity I get because I think it's super practical for people to understand. It's on page 117 of the book, but it's also in the preceding pages. And I, all throughout, I've given some additional resources. I believe that when it comes to the historicity, meaning the historical truth of the resurrection, I believe Gary Habermas is the present day authority on the historicity of the resurrection. So his name is spelled Gary, Gary, and the last name is Habermas, Habermas. He's quoted throughout the book. I think there's a bibliography in the back of the book that talks about all the sources that were used. So recommended for further reading on page 172. He's number 3, The Historical Jesus, Ancient Evidence for the Life of Christ. And he's also in the video. He's the guy with the beard. And he might not be the only guy with a beard, but you'll find him. And all the people in the video have their little name on the screen. So he talks about all of the historical. It's very interesting, Kathy, because people think that the resurrection is really just a spiritual idea. It is a historical truth. And I find it so energizing to be able to affirm that, because it helps people of all ilks, all kinds of people can meet up in that space. The spiritual people, the people who think he was a prophet, the people who think they only believe in what's testable, like the scientist kind. Yeah. You can meet a lot of people in this place of the historical truth of Christ's life, death, and resurrection. It's a very slim number of academics who think Jesus never lived. Okay, so we pretty much dismiss that academically. Almost everybody recognizes that Christ was a historical figure. So there's a lot of work there. Go look at it if you're curious. But then the thing is, did he die on a cross? Very widely accepted. The bottom line is, did he actually come back to life? Okay, because that's crazy.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Hi, I'm Holly, and I'm the primary teacher and author here at Study with Friends. My education is from a Reformed theological seminary, so you'll see that come through as we teach and study together. But on occasion, I'll introduce concepts from other doctrines when I think they shed light on the material, just so that we can have a well-rounded understanding of lots of different perspectives on the text. We strongly believe that you should know and understand who's teaching you the Bible, and so you can learn more about me at studywithfriends.org or zondervan.com. We're just really glad you're here.